Hi everybody, here's the game plan for today. After just coming off of our work capacity discussion video, we're going to jump into a couple of activity days. And so we're really going to focus on a work capacity, and we're actually going to go with cardiac output is kind of the theme here. So instead of showing you different styles, like interval or long slow distance, I think you guys kind of get that. So I want to jump into maybe just a couple of unique opportunities or situations or training styles that we could utilize. So you've got cardiac output method, which is sort of that long, slow, and steady approach. So think like Forrest Gump running around the country. And what you're going to get there is that eccentric hypertrophy in heart. So that means that long, slow, steady beat is going to stretch out that heart, that left ventricle wall, and it's actually going to grow the diameter of the left ventricle. So it's going to increase our stroke volume by our ability to have like a higher preload, like before that individual heartbeat. So it's also going to grow our vascular network, so we're going to get more capillaries down in the tissues and also in the heart. And just because it's slow and steady, we're going to pick on those slow twitch muscle fibers. And in that range, your heart rate's going to be about 120 to 150. There's no rest because you just do a single bout of 30 to 90 minutes. So I'm going to do that later on today, or at the end of this session. I'm going to do that on my own. I'm not going to make a video of me like running around my neighborhood. I don't think you guys get much of a kick out of that, of just listening to me huff and puff in the microphone for 45 minutes. So what we're going to go over today is we're going to go over our cardiac power intervals. And again, this is borrowed or stolen from Coach Joel Jamieson and his book, Ultimate MMA Conditioning. So with this cardiac power intervals, we're going, instead of eccentric hypertrophy, we're going to get a little bit more concentric hypertrophy. So this is really more focused about growing cardiac strength. It's going to be high intensity, challenging. It's going to boost our rate of O2 delivery, and it's going to boost the mitochondria content in our heart. We're going from 60 to 120 seconds of, these can be repetitions or work. For me, I'm going to go in that 90 to 120 second window today, just because I think that I'm going to use rope slams as my primary modality, and I think I'm hoping that I'm going to be going faster than 1 rep per second, and so I'm going to keep an eye on the timer instead of counting reps, which is an option on like maybe if you're on the rowing machine, that would like 60 reps is probably not going to be under 60 seconds. So I've never done this with ropes before, so I think it's just going to kind of chew me up and spit me out, but I'm going to have my watch on and I'm just going to double check. So you'll probably see that when I'm doing it, I'll be like 30 seconds in and I'll check my watch, like thinking that I'm done, because it's a difficult challenge. So you'll see me checking my watch, and you can laugh at me, that's fine. I'll be laughing at myself later. But I'm gonna give myself a minimal of 90 seconds of work. And it's high velocity, so it's explosive. We're essentially doing like max heart rate per rep, okay? So it's a butt kicker, right? And then you get 2 to 5 minutes of heart rate recovery time, and you're going to want that heart rate to get back down to about 120 to 130 beats per minute. So for me, I'm just going to play it. I've never done this workout before, so I'm not trying to intensify it. This is more of a demonstration. So this is something I would normally do if we were in a group. If I was teaching a group, I would try to make somebody else do it, and then they could be kind of like the butt of the joke when they're sucking wind and they're suffering. But since it's just me, I get to be the butt of the joke and I get to suffer. So I guess kind of enjoy the show. And again, demonstration purposes, I am going to do 4 full rounds, but that is, and I'll shave the video so you guys aren't just watching me like sit around and like huff and puff during my recovery times. But I'm going to include my work sets here, and then I'm predicting that the rope is going to smash me pretty hard. So if I'm doing the rope slams and maybe my back starts bothering me, or maybe I can't see straight, or just I'm shutting down, I'm gonna go to up downs. And if the up downs are doing the same thing, if I'm getting dizzy or tunnel vision, I'm gonna go to drop squats. So there also may be just some little my spirit might break a little bit. I may just suck wind for a moment and then pick the movement back up. But my goal is to do 4 90-second sets today with a 2 to 5 minute rest and recovery in between. So it's going to be ugly, but I'm going to keep you guys with me for the warm up. I'm going to keep you guys with me for the warm up. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing. Because this is a different warm-up, a little bit more active and dynamic than what we've done in the past for our other warm-up days that we talked about. So here we go. It's been a little while since we did our warm-up block, but remember, we want to mobilize, activate, and potentiate. So we also want to, so that's our MAP model, and our RAMP model includes the term raise. That R is for raise. So what am I going to do to raise today to really heat my body up? I'm going to kind of save that for the end a little bit. I'm going to do some preparatory sets before I get warm up. So I will do some rope slams, some up downs, and some drop squats just to kind of grease the joints a little bit before I get going on my full go sets. And I'm going to get my heart rate up. I'm going to break a sweat before I actually start doing my challenge sets, just because to go into a cardiac power interval with basically cold, that first set is probably going to put you into a little bit of like shock almost. It's going to smash your nervous system. You want to get nice and warm ahead of time. Should probably be sweaty by the time the workout actually starts, just because you're going to want your muscles activated and ready to go. You're going to want that blood circulating really well down through your lungs. You're going to want to get your breathing patterns on right, so that way you don't go into your first set and just get totally punched in the face. But I think even with a good warm-up, today is still going to be a little bit of a punch in the face, but hopefully I make it through. So I'm going to mobilize, activate, and potentiate. So for mobility, I'm just going to start out with a little bit of foam rolling and some floor mobility work. So again, with the rope slams, I could see it really irritating my back, just because it's a full body aggressive dynamic movement that's it's not super natural, like running. I definitely considered just doing some 90-second runs for today, but I just want to do something a little bit different and experiment. I don't know, I just heard some weird noise back behind me. So I just want to do something different to experiment, and so we'll see how it goes. Might have to do like a cut scene to me in an ambulance, but I think we'll be all right. So for my mobility, I tend to kind of focus on my posterior chain with both my training and my recovery. So I'm gonna do I did my upper lower back, move on my hamstrings. Around 30 seconds to a minute of rolling per muscle group. On that hamstring, I'm going to kind of roll. I'm going to try to shift some different angles that my leg is laying on the roller. Nice. Again, if you're gonna foam roll in a warm up, and today I'm not lifting heavy or, I'm not lifting heavy or sprinting or jumping for performance, but I am gonna be moving pretty ballistically. So I wouldn't foam roll right before that ballistic movement, just because of how that sort of affects the Golgi tendon organs and that pre-stretch muscle. You don't really want your muscles lengthened out right before dynamic or ballistic activity. So I'm going to leave the foam roll alone. I'm going to move to my lower back and hips. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time relatively mobilizing those. So cobra stretch for that spinal flexion, or excuse me, extension. I'm already going to start building in my breathing patterns. Trying to get that air coming in through my nose, down in my belly. And back to child's pose for some spine flexion. And again, still focusing on my breathing patterns. I'll bring it out to a pigeon stretch. So starting to get those hips loosened up just a little bit. And again, when we're holding stretches and it's more of a static stretch, I would keep it under about 30 seconds in a pre-activity warm-up or stretch routine. I would keep it no longer than 30 seconds because again, we don't want these muscles to be lengthened before we're really challenging them, which I don't know that today is the most risky or dangerous day. It's probably more just going to kind of knock the wind out of me versus really challenge my muscles or my joints. But yeah, just kind of as a safety precaution. I'm not necessarily working on flexibility right now. I'm just getting these muscles a little bit lengthened for the mobility work that's going to take place in basically a few seconds. And again, remember we want to mobilize the ankles as well. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a pre-stretch. So again, a short static before I start doing my mobility work. Find that kind of allows the mobility work to be a little bit more effective. Nice. After that, we're going to go into some ankle three-ways. So I'm going to put some pressure out there for a handful of seconds, and I'm going to change the angle. Our ankles need angles. I'll hit each position a few times here. I'm trying to drive that heel down to allow that Achilles to open up and that calf to get a little bit of a stretch here. And again, my pre-workout mobility session doesn't need to be terribly aggressive, especially what you see in a hypermobile individual is they often get some kind of funky injuries because their joints are not, the more mobile you are, the less stable you are. Unfortunately, a lot of times is how it works. So I'm doing some aggressive mobility work before getting into a workout. It's just got pros and cons and a little risk versus reward. What I also like about this position is at the same time my hip flexor on the back leg is getting a pretty good little static stretch right here. So those hip flexors on individuals tend to be one of the tightest things I see on a regular basis. Part of that's just our modern world. A lot of people sitting on the couch too much, sitting down in cars driving, sitting down at the computer, whatever it is. All right, so I'm gonna leave my ankles alone for now. I'm gonna keep working on those hips, go back to my hips a little bit. And just kind of a short and sweet one is our hip 90-90. And I'm gonna try to keep those shoes magnetized to the ground. Whew. A little rusty today. I'm gonna try to maintain a tall vertical spine on this. And again, I'm trying to keep my shoes magnetized to the ground. And usually after a couple of reps, that starts to get to look a hair better. Combination of actually mobilizing a little bit and also activating some core muscles to help me stabilize my spine a little bit better. And again, that MAP system, that mobilize, activate, potentiate, sometimes you're not always just going to be only mobility and no activation, or only activation and no potentiation. A lot of times there's just gray areas, and you can combine them and blend them together. So I've been doing my 90-90, did a few switches. I can start throwing in some glute bridges. So now I'm going to start activating those glutes back there a little bit. So I'm starting to get some activation. I'm going to leave that alone for now. I'm going to go ahead and start up on some, I'll stay on my hips for another couple movements here, but this one will be a little bit of hips and a little bit of T-spine. So the world's greatest stretch. I'm going to go elbow as if it's going down to the ground. Some people can actually touch their elbows to the ground. I'm not one of those peoples. I'll do a few reps with my right foot and right hand. And then I'm going to keep my feet the same and switch my hands. And this one is pretty tough. And I got to cheat at it, and it kicks my butt still. So I switch legs. I'm going to do left foot, left arm. Slow and steady. When my hand goes high, my eyes follow my thumb. I'll do one more. Nice. And then I'm going to focus on my spine. I'm going to get my shoulders a little bit, and then I'll move on. So again, if you're watching this and you don't have a rope, you can easily do these kinds of sets. You can go outside and run. You can do like in place like up downs or burpees or squat thrusts or whatever you want to call them. Those can smash you. 90 seconds of effort there is no joke. If you have access to a punching bag and you want to sort of throw hands for 90 seconds, that's going to be exhausting. But honestly, having done this before, probably my favorite modality on this would be just a rower. So keep in mind, if you have access to a rower, maybe hop on that. And if you struggle with jump rope could be a pretty good option as well. The only thing there is that it's going to get technical and you start getting the rope like caught on your feet, and then your heart rate drops because you're missing out on some intensity there. So, all right, on my spine, my T-spine a little bit more. I got my T-spine already with those world's greatest, and I also did the Cobra and Child's Pose. So my T-spine has been getting some prep already. I'll do a bit extra just because that's kind of a problem area for me sometimes. And also I just want to remind you guys of some of our movements. So with my cat and camel right now, when my belly's low, I take a big breath in, down in my belly, and then my spine comes high, and I exhale, and I tighten my belly. Good. So we'll go bretzel here. If you've got a pillow, a shoe, a foam roll, whatever, that can be good just to lay it down on the side here. And my top knee comes forward. My bottom hand is going to grip behind that top knee. My top hand grabs my bottom foot. Take some regular breaths. Big breath in. And I'm going to do that a few times. So once I run out of air, I just reset. And switch sides. I think that was 3 reps there. Okay, so we mobilize the ankles, the hips, the T-spine, the thoracic spine, and now we'll get into the shoulders just a little bit. And again, the movements I have selected for today are dynamic and are ballistic, but they're also rather controlled. So the rope I'm going to be slamming is probably not going to tear me off of my base of support. If I'm end up doing up downs or drop squats, those are not very dynamic. The flooring is consistent. I don't have a teammate or an opponent's foot who might go underneath my foot, so preparation needs to be good. But I would say we really need to emphasize that not only the map part, the mobilization, activation, potentiation, but we really want to make sure we get that raise taken care of, because you don't want to go into these. You don't want to hit these sets with low heart rate. For the reasons we talked about already, you want to make sure that the blood is moving well, and that you've already been taking some deep breaths, and that you're basically sweaty ahead of time, just because this is going to be high intensity, and if you go in cold, it's going to be trouble. So it might put you into like a little bit of shock even. So we don't want to puke today. I know I don't want to puke. And again, this belly back movement I'm doing, yes, I'm doing it with a band, but you can do that with a broomstick, whatever. So take kind of the no excuses approach there. And I was just loosening up the shoulders a little bit of mobility there. Another easy one that I like, which this might show you just how terrible my shoulders are, is I'll go sort of neutral hands, arms elevated, and I'll shift over to one way. And whichever way I'm going, I'm going to supinate that hand. I'm going to pronate my backhand. And I'm going to come back to neutral. And then when I go to the other side, I'm going to supinate my hand that I'm looking towards and going towards. I'm going to pronate my backhand. You can look back as well, give you something a little bit different. And this probably wouldn't give me much activation in that. And again, while I'm doing that, I'm also just reaching my arms as far as I can. So that probably wouldn't give me much, not activation, but mobilization in my younger years. But when I do this now, I mean, my shoulders are grinding and popping, and I can feel them opening up pretty good. So I would say that mobilizes my shoulders pretty well. That kind of checks that box. And what I'm going to do now is we need to do some raising. So I got to get my heart rate up. And basically practice my movements that I'm going to be getting into. So I really hope that you guys aren't just watching these videos. This is a great one to actually get involved in. You don't need a rope to slam or a gym to be in. That whole warm-up could have been done with no equipment at all, and you can just go outside and run these reps, or jump rope, or box, or row them. You might be able to just do up downs for 90 seconds and get that heart rate skyrocketing. So the up downs are really good, because as we go from vertical to horizontal, that really challenges our vascular system, because our vascular system is basically built to be conducive with gravity. So when we start changing positions from vertical to horizontal, it challenges that a little bit. So that might be a good movement to do as well. Having done about 1 million up downs in my life, I can attest that they are great for cardio. So what I'm going to do now is basically just get warmed up here with the raising part, and I'll probably do like 3 sets of 20 slams, 10 up downs, 10 drop squats. So yeah, probably like 3 sets of that. I'm going to take a little bit of a breather, and then I'm going to get started on my sets and I'm going to make sure I've got water. I forgot my water today, so I'm going to take the lavalier mic off so that you guys aren't just listening to me huff and puff and like the rope slams. That's probably going to be a little annoying. So it's not going to be clipped on me, but I'm going to leave it nearby, and I'm going to come check in and talk a little bit here and there. And then when I'm doing my sets, I'm going to edit out like the huffing and puffing and the recovery time in between. So I just want you guys to know that I'm suffering, and I want to challenge you all to suffer a little bit too. But just make sure you're safe. And okay, here we go. And again, going 20 rope slams followed by 10 up downs followed by 10 drop squats. And I think I'm gonna do 3 rounds. And just a thought is that we don't want those drop squats to be utilized as a performance version of a plyometric, or to be developing jump height or explosive power. So once our plyometrics or any type of dynamic effort starts getting over probably 6 reps, the quality tends to peter off a little bit. So for jumping and trying to become better at jumping, you tend to have low volume and high intensity, whereas these drop squats, I mean, I'm not even really jumping off the ground hardly. I would not label these as anything besides conditioning and sort of like a backup option for skyrocketing the heart rate. All right, so that's my warm-up. Now I'm gonna suck wind for a little bit, go get my water, and I will fast forward that and jump right into the workout on camera here. All right, so as you can see, my head is shinier than normal. It's because I'm sweating a little bit from that warm-up. Now a few more minutes of rest and recovery and I basically feel fine. But I would warn you that, again, on these type of workouts, that warm-up needs to be aggressive. You do not want to go in cold to what we're about to do. So just keep that in mind, is that if your athletes are not huffing and puffing during warm-ups, that you've got a lot of, there's room to improve. Maybe it's on their end, or maybe it's on your end, but that warm-up should maybe step up a little bit. So a few years ago, the t-shirts were popular where they'd say, your workout is my warm-up. Okay, so that's kind of cliche and hokey. But if you want your workouts to be higher intensity, if we're following that principle of progressive overload, if we want to get people in a better shape, or we want to get in better shape, yeah, our workouts do need to step up. That doesn't mean that they need to be hard just for the sake of being hard. But with just the principles we've talked about, it's okay for your warm-up to be a little bit more extensive. And again, as a younger man, my warm-ups might have included like a couple of arm swings or a couple of toe touches or something. But as I've aged, as my body's gotten older, and as I've gathered more experience as a exercise scientist, coach, education, watching other athletes lift and train, I've noticed that the right warm-up that's not exhausting but is challenging will actually set athletes and clients up for better workouts. So keep that in mind, and hopefully your head is shiny, a little bit shinier than it was before your warm-up. And then here we go. Seconds. Okay, well, that first round, it's pretty tough, and you'll see me sort of compensating and playing around to fatigue different muscles. But yeah, about 20 seconds in there, when that ATP runs out, that phosphagen system runs out, my heart rate starts skyrocketing because it knows that we're out of energy and that there's a high demand for output, but it just doesn't have the fuel reserve. So it's about 20-25 seconds in that my heart rate starts kicking in, and then my shoulders will start burning, and I'll start using more legs or more back or whatever it is. So yeah, it's been like 3.5 minutes, and here goes round 2. right, now we're sweating. That was the end of round 2. Would not call myself fully recovered, but I want to give myself, I try to give myself, with 4 rounds today, I try to give myself a little bit longer rest on the last round, and then like a medium length rest. So I'm going to take like the full 5 minutes before round 4, and this is like more of like a 4-minute rest, and my previous rest was like 3.5, something like that. So yeah, here goes. As I'm doing this, I'm reminded of something known as peripheral cardiovascular contractions. So obviously our heart is only in one place, but when our calves are working and they constrict against those veins down there, it actually helps to promote blood flow. So it makes the job on your heart a little bit easier when you have certain muscle contractions. And I think about this because back when I used to run track or I played soccer and I would do a lot of cardio to help prepare for that. Was I doing the best conditioning? No. If I knew what I know now, I would have done things very differently. Nevertheless, if you're running really hard, it hurts at a certain level, but sometimes when you finish that run, you get pretty nauseous and pukey afterwards, and your heart rate just seems to go up by 50 beats per minute. That's because when you have all these muscular contractions going on, it helps usher that blood back to your heart. It's like having a tiny heart, down on your shin, or as I'm gripping maybe the rope here. It's like having like little hearts down here that push the blood back to my big heart. So if you're doing this and you feel horrible like 10 seconds after a set, in my opinion, that's what's going on, is that your heart has to work even harder than it did while you're actually performing a set. Yeah, okay, my 5-minute rest is about up, so here goes my last set. Woof. So, yeah, that works pretty well. I would say two closing thoughts I have are one, when you have a 90-second effort, you sort of play out your effort for that 90 seconds. So if you need to run, a quarter of a mile, you'd probably run it just a little bit slower than if you needed to run 50 yards. So I was attempting to work hard for a 90-second effort, not necessarily as hard as I possibly could every single second. And that way I could actually finish the sets and the workout. So keep that in mind, is that not every rope slam was the biggest, best, fastest rope slam I could muster, although quite a few of them were. So I would say whether you're doing a run or you're biking or rowing or you're rope slamming, play it for 90 seconds. And remember, if that first set makes you sick or throw up or whatever, your next few sets probably aren't going to be so great. So there's a little bit of a educated approach there, is that just kind of know your body a little bit. So that's one thought. And then my second thought, I kind of want to review what I thought of doing the rope slams like that. So I would say battle ropes, in my experience, battle ropes started getting, I started becoming aware of, I don't know how battle ropes have been around, but I started becoming aware of battle ropes around like 2010, and they seemed cool. I tried them once or twice, and it seemed more like a toy, or